Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. This video does not have a spokesperson for it. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, for whatever reason, doesn't follow the typical critical incident briefing format that many other agencies follow. So there's no person talking about anything going on, and they don't even have a slideshow of information talking about stuff that's going on. So I'll have to read to you a news article from actionnewsjacks.com. So Jacksonville, Florida. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office responded to an officer-involved shooting in the 1300 block of Gulffair Boulevard on Thursday. According to JSO, around 5 p.m., officers conducted a traffic stop in response to a window tint violation in the area. While conducting the traffic stop, the passenger on the driver's side, later identified as Demetrick Manning, jumped out of the vehicle and began to run. The officer who was speaking with the driver did not move while the two officers gave chase, one in a vehicle and one on foot. A third officer saw Manning run across backyards and attempted to follow when Manning pulled out a gun and fired 10 rounds at the officer. The officer returned fire. JSO shared pictures of the gun Manning had as well as the patrol vehicle that was shot at. Afterward, the officer exited the vehicle and saw Manning sitting on the sidewalk with the handgun in his hand. Manning was told to drop the handgun and move away. And when he failed to do so, officers deployed the taser. Manning was taken to the hospital to be evaluated for any injuries. No officers were hurt, and the driver cooperated throughout the incident. I also read in another article that the suspect had been shot in the leg. Manning is a convicted felon, go figure, who is prohibited from owning a firearm. He will be arrested for armed attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and several warrants for his violation of probation. I swear, it's like a broken record, man. Like, this shit is on repeat all across the fucking country. Gulffair Boulevard was closed from Myrtle Avenue to Moncrief Road due to the incident. Right before Action News Jacks at 10, police chased SUV through the crime scene of the officer-involved shooting in the 1300 block of Gulffair Boulevard. Wow. So, fucking high-speed pursuit goes through the crime scene. That's the fucking shitty side of town right there. According to the JSO, there was an auto theft investigation in the same area, and the driver of the SUV is being arrested. Yeah, that place is a shithole, man. Bunch of oxygen thieves around. Okay, so, and this occurred in May of 2022, and they were just now releasing this footage in December. I think it came out December 9th of 2022. So, here we go with the video. All right, skip that. Skip. All right, backed up. So nothing wrong with audio. It is buffer mode. That looked like a drone of some sort that he was playing with. Alright, so I wish that they would have played the other officer's body camera first before they played this one. So I think that based on the timing between this and when he shot, and then having already watched the video itself, as far as the other footage goes, I think that this is obviously after the guy has took off running, and this officer is getting a drone ready to be able to deploy to go search for this guy. So that's what my guess is with this thing. If that is a drone, it looks like a drone. I mean, I don't know what else it could be. Which drones are pretty cool. Drones are one of those emerging things coming into public safety. So when drones, they first started coming out, obviously as a military thing, as they started to make it into domestic public safety here in the U.S., they were things that were being used by, I'm pretty sure they were being used by law enforcement to begin with. Now, they might have, of course, at the borders been utilized by Border Patrol and stuff like that, but that would have been stuff that would have been on loan, I guess you could say, or a collaborative effort with military using, of course, DoD drone assets. But as far as agencies having their own drone, I think that basically search and rescue teams out there were the first ones to start getting their own drones and utilizing them for public safety. Now, search and rescue is set up differently all across the nation. In some places, it's just its own standalone entity, or it's a part of the fire department, or you go out west, and a lot of times the search and rescue teams are a part of the sheriff's office. So I'd say probably out west, those assets were probably getting dual use for search and rescue and also probably law enforcement applications in the very beginning. But predominantly, I think that for the most part, the drones kind of started out for search and rescue applications. Drones have a lot of advantages to them, so obviously it's progressed to being used for law enforcement operations. And because they were so useful and are so useful for searching for missing people, they can also be used for searching for people who are running from the police. It gives you that aerial advantage, and there's only like a handful of agencies out there across the U.S. who can afford to have helicopters. Helicopters are expensive. Not just the helicopter itself. I mean, the airframe itself can be a buku amount of money. But then the maintenance for that aircraft, just the parts alone, are going to be super expensive. It's not like, Dodge Motor Company producing a Dodge Charger and having all these parts and everything of it. I don't know how many fucking Dodge Chargers have been produced, but let's say they've produced a million of them. There's going to be a whole lot more Dodge Chargers out there than there are, Bell whatever model helicopter. And so there's going to be a shit ton of parts out there for those cars. The parts for the helicopters, there's not going to be a shit ton of them because you just don't have hundreds of thousands of these cars or hundreds of thousands of these helicopters flying around like you get hundreds of thousands of these police cars driving around. So the parts are going to be more expensive. The people who are going to install the damn parts and do all the repairs, they're going to be expensive. That is a specialty labor. The people who fly the damn things, that's a specialty labor. It's not like you can just take a guy off road patrol and be like, hey, Bob, we need you to go fly the helicopter today. That ain't fucking happening. So everything involving a helicopter is super expensive. And so only the agencies with very large budgets can afford that. Drones, you don't have to have a super, super, super large budget. It could be a small budget. You can even get these on grants now. So more agencies are embracing the utilization of drones because it gives them that aerial advantage. When you have an aerial asset and you can have live bird's eye view looking down, you have so much more situational awareness in what's going on. And they are great for searching through areas and minimizing danger to officers, like going into a wooded area, out in the field somewhere. Someone could be hiding down the bushes, and if officers were to be walking through there, boom, they could be ambushed. You send the drone out, it flies above, it looks down, boom, it sees the person hiding. I've even seen some footage of drones being used to do building searches. There's actually one video that I did on here where police went to a house. I forgot what the call was. Shooting occurred inside the house. Officers quickly backed out. They didn't want to send people in, so they actually flew the drone through the open front door of the house and flew it through the hallways, into the living room, and back to the back bedroom where the shooting occurred to be able to take a look at the suspect and see what kind of condition they were in. That's pretty fucking cool. If you can take out the human having to go in the building, take out the dog having to go in the building, you just fly that little drone through there, that's awesome. If they shoot the drone gets damaged, oh well. Insurance claim, get you another one. A dog goes in there, yeah, nobody wants to see the dog get hurt. You can still do insurance claim on it, get a new dog, but that turnaround is going to be a long time. One, you got to get the dog, and then two, you got to pair that dog with its handler. The handler just can't take the dog and immediately get to work. Like, they have to bond, essentially, and work together, and that dog learns to be sub to that handler, and be able to listen to its commands. With a human, obviously we don't want to be losing humans. Those are our greatest assets, and the turnaround, trying to get a new human into work is over a year. I mean, the hiring process in of itself can take several months. Posting the opening and doing the interviews and the background checks, all that could be several months. The academy process can be half a year or more, and then once a person gets back from the academy, the FTO process can be several months. And then once the person is out on their own, it still takes about almost a year for them to really learn the ropes fully and be able to be an independent person on the road by themselves and not have to require so much oversight or guidance or anything like that. A drone, insurance claim, new one comes in the mail a week later, boom, you're able to put that damn thing in operation. Same model and everything. The person already knows how to work it. They don't have to retrain on it or nothing. You just get the damn thing, plug and play. It's great. Drones have been used to document, crime scenes, take aerial photographs and stuff like that, which used to, and still for a lot of agencies, they may have to get the fire department to come out there with a ladder truck, extend the ladder, and the officer has to go up the top of the ladder to take pictures from above to get that aerial view, right? The drone makes it so much quicker. The fire guys don't have to be bothered. They don't have to stop playing their Xbox games or anything like that. They can continue sitting in the firehouse, cooking on the grill and hanging out and having a good time. So they don't have to be bothered. They get to stay happy. So lots of pros with drones. All right, moving on. So I guess at this point he probably saw the guy or heard radio traffic about the guy, and then boom, contact. So he returns fire through the windshield. Let's see here. Back this up one more time. So his vehicle is still in drive. As he's approaching the suspect starts shooting at the officer. Suspect fires 10 rounds. So this officer draws his gun and fires through the windshield. Nothing wrong with that. That is a tactic that can be utilized. However, the vehicle is still in drive. The vehicle itself is a much better weapon than the pistol. I think that he very well could have just smashed the accelerator and ran that motherfucker over. A vehicle is really heavy. It's got a lot more mass to it. And it can be very devastating. It can incapacitate a person. So if the vehicle is in gear, that is the best option. Drive over the threat. Drive it over. Firing through the windshield, it can be done, but when you are shooting through glass, you are shooting through glass, laminate glass. 3 layers right there, making a sandwich. And anytime a bullet passes through something thick like that, it's going to cause the round to deviate in its trajectory. It may go to the left a little bit, it may go to the right, it may go up, it may go down. You could be the best marksman there is. You could have a rock steady hold on that gun, aim through the windshield, good front sight focus, good squeezing on the trigger, almost no movement in the gun at all, and still that round is not going to go where you're aiming at. Because as soon as it hits glass, it changes its trajectory a little bit. Now, up close, like at the hood of the vehicle, you're going to be off a little bit, but it's not going to be it may or may not be a whole lot noticeable. As you put the target further away from the front hood of the vehicle, it becomes a lot more noticeable very quickly, even at just a tiny amount of distance being added. And it's not too far from the front of the hood where your rounds just don't land on target at all. Very short distance. So shooting through the windshield has to be up close and personal if you want to have any degree of success of hitting that target. I mean, it's basically got to be right at the fucking hood of the car if you want good shot placement. Otherwise, the further away from the hood of the vehicle it is, the less likely you're going to hit. So he fired multiple rounds, and he only hit the guy once in the leg. Now, was he aiming for his legs? I highly doubt it. He was probably aiming center mass like he was trained to. But the glass caused the round to deviate its trajectory, and it went downward and ended up hitting the guy in the leg. So the key to shooting through glass is to make a hole and try to send all the other bullets through that same hole that you've made. That way, those following bullets are not hitting any material that's going to cause them to deviate their trajectory. This is something that you need to train and practice with. So, older vehicles that are decommissioned, they've reached surplus point, blown engines, whatever. Even cars that don't have blown engines, you can still take these vehicles and put them on the range and do vehicle tactics training with them. The windshields, if you got some guys who know what they're doing, you can easily remove the windshield from a vehicle or multiple vehicles at that point. And it doesn't even have to be the same shape windshield to put on the car. You could, for these other vehicles that are wrecked or whatever, remove their windshields. You could have a whole collection of windshields at the range, just, laying in the grass or leaning up against the building or something. And you have a vehicle, you shoot through its windshield, you blow it all to shit, you just take that windshield out, ditch it, throw it in the dumpster, go over to your pile of windshields that you got, even if there might be a crack or two in them, whatever, it's cool. Take that windshield, bring it over that car, just kind of lay it in place, and then boom, you got a new windshield for people to be able to shoot through and train for this stuff. But being able to do it in the training environment is better than doing it for the first time out in the real world. You need to be able to see firsthand how much that windshield will cause your round to go off. You need to feel the concussion, the pressure of that gun being fired within that car, windows up and windows down. You need to feel those experiences, become inoculated to those, so that if it were to happen in the wild and live, that that's not the first time you're experiencing those things. If you've never shot a gun inside a car, it's different. Like you fucking feel it. You definitely hear it too. And of course, with that, if you got the vehicle that you can shoot, that's also a great opportunity to do ballistics lab, so to speak, and just shoot the fuck out of that car. See firsthand small bullets going through car doors with no problem whatsoever. And hopefully that'll be enough to motivate you to stop trying to hide behind fucking car doors as cover, because car doors are not cover. Anyway, moving on. So the guy takes off running, which you can't see very well in his camera view here. But he's probably down that way somewhere. Probably done jumped the fence. But the driver's still inside the car. So he's going to be making contact with the driver. At this point, so there's nothing wrong with your audio. It's just in buffer mode. Anytime you get out of the car, that camera needs to be in record mode. Things happen suddenly, rapidly, just like this. The dude took off without warning, and this dude could have, instead of taking off running, could have decided he gonna get into a gunfight right then and there. And if you don't have that camera on, actively recording at that point, you may forget to activate it. There's times where officers get into just simple fights or even gunfights, and they forget to turn the camera on, and there's no camera footage there. And then the public starts making up, not all the public, but some members of the public start making up wild-ass fucking stories. Like, oh, he had a body camera, but they deleted the footage because they was in the wrong. They're trying to hide evidence. They're trying to do a cover-up, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, sometimes that shit gains traction and spreads like wildfire. People start to believe it. And, if you got an officer who's got a body camera, but there's no footage to go along with what's going on, that kind of helps those people with their bullshit lies. Losing out on the opportunity to record stuff means that you're missing potentially crucial evidence, and that will prolong the legal process after this officer-involved shooting occurs. So, you got the physical fight, the fight for your life, and then after that, you've got the legal fight and the mental fight. The legal fight, if you've got, good evidence, body cam, car cams on, shows everything what's going on, clear as day, that legal process will go a lot shorter. Because you're able to quickly see, like, yep, dude pulled a gun and pointed at him. He fucked around and found out. Grand jury is able to look at that and be like, yep, no true bill. When you have nothing showing anything, and you got, of course, even with the video, you're still going to have witness statements and everything. But in absence of video, all you have is witness statements. And what if, his buddy starts, joining in on the lie? What if, a certain reverend comes down to the area and starts hooting and hollering about, police brutality and other bullshit. And this dude starts, singing in line with what a certain reverend would be saying. And be like, yeah, my buddy did nothing wrong. He did do nothing. And racist-ass cops Shot him for no reason. Well, it's going to be very hard to fucking prove otherwise if you don't have any fucking video evidence, right? So, the best thing to do before you ever get out of the car, hit the record button. If you end up recording 5-10 minutes of a bullshit interaction, nothing happens, oh well, so be it. If you end up having 20 recordings like that on the camera, oh well, so be it. You can fucking upload them or delete them, whatever. Doesn't matter. But you need to start hitting record every time you get out of the car. Before you ever get out of the car. Actually, and you know, depending on what it is, before you ever get on scene. You know, you go into a call to a house or something, you pull onto that street where that house is at, hit record. Because once you get out of that car, anything can happen right then and there. And you may not have the ability to turn that camera on. You may forget about it. And if you don't record what happens, then it can make things a lot more difficult for you down the road.
I'm just leaving that. Is anything on you? No. You turn on, please. Put your hands on top of the car. It's a little weird, dude, that he just took off like that. So you have anything in the car we need to worry about? Is that why you're in it? Number 122, shot fired! November 122, shots fired by police. Stay there.
So this guy's smart. He knows what's up. I'm like, I'm gonna keep my fucking hands on the car because fucking Demetrick here is gonna pull some crazy shit. I ain't getting shot because of him. So this guy is being as smart as he can be. He's keeping his hands on the car. He's doing great. This officer kind of had a light bulb moment and said, you know what? If his buddy's shooting at us, then there's a possibility that he might not listen to me saying, hey, stay there. Maybe I should do something to make sure that he stays there. So he comes back to take this guy and detain him. So right thing to do right there. I mean, he could have beat feet and ran all the way over there to jump in on this fight and help this officer out. And then this guy could have just simply got back in his car and took off. And, this guy could have been a wanted felon. This guy could have been wanted for murder or something like that. I don't think that this guy had any warrants or anything. The articles didn't mention anything about the driver being arrested or anything like that. Hell, after it all said and done, he probably didn't even get a ticket for the window tint. They probably had more pressing issues to go on, so he probably got away with that. But you never know who the people are until, of course, they're fully identified. So if this officer had taken off and ran down the street, this guy could have got in the car and took off and got away. Hell, there could be, 200 pounds of meth in the trunk of the car. This could have been one of the biggest drug busts for that year, potentially. You never know. So this officer did the right thing by coming back to this guy and grabbing hold of him and detaining him. So nothing wrong with this right here.
I'm just detaining you. You're not going to jail, just detaining you. Because what just happened. I will tell the 4 feet in a second. Right there! Right down there!
This was May, so I think maybe... No, I don't think the gas prices had gone up at that point, but they might have been up around that point. So I could understand his concern about his car being left running. Especially with the way gas prices had gone up.
Sit inside.
Be advised, suspect 89. Stall 0, got
Now, I will say that if there was a rifle in that car, he should have grabbed the rifle.
Get down! Get down on the ground! Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down!
So the gun is actually out of his hand at this point, and it's laying right there in front of him. See that little dark object right there? That's his gun. He's hovering right over top of it.
Walk away over here! Walk away from the gun! Walk away from the gun! Get away from it! Go ahead. No!
Yes. Good NMI. You got good neuromuscular incapacitation on this guy.
No! Get away from it! No!
So obviously, this guy had been surrounded, or not surrounded, but there had been police on this guy for some time before this officer made his way all the way up there.
Get down! Get down on the ground!
Before this officer ever arrived up here, they should have already used force against this guy. That taser should have already been deployed on him. This guy fucking shot at them. There's no need to stand around and play this fucking step over here, put your hands up, don't make me tell you again bullshit fucking game. Like, do it quick. Like, get this fucking thing done with. De-escalate this thing before it gets any worse. So, de-escalation is something that so many people, I think, get wrong. So many people believe that de-escalation just means verbal only. Trying to use your verbal judo to avoid having to use physical force so that you can de-escalate the scenario. That's wrong. It's not just verbal only. Physical force is a form of de-escalation. There's been so many times where police just stand there and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And I don't mean talk like having a discussion or nothing. I mean, that means like verbal commands saying, hey, stop this, stop, stop, stop. Don't make me tell you again. Don't make me tell you again. Stop, 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 whatever. They'll just go on and 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 on. And that person is building up the courage to do what they want to do. And once they reach that level of, all right, I'm brave enough now, then they do the thing. And then it causes, of course, police to have to, a lot of times, go to that lethal force. You'll see this in some of these suicide by police videos where the person's got the weapon, it's down to their side, they haven't fully committed to their act yet, like they're in the midst of it, like they want this thing to happen, but they just have not fully committed themselves yet to raise that arm and point the gun or something like that. And police will just stand around and talk and talk and talk and talk, 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 talk. And this whole fucking time, while they're talking, this person is going through the mental process of what they're about to do. They're thinking about it, they're visualizing it, they're making their amends, mentally, whatever. They're becoming bolder, second by second, that the only thing anyone's doing is talking. So for every second that goes on that people are just talking, they get stronger mentally, and then boom, they do it. So in this right here, no sense in fucking sitting around talking to this guy. This motherfucker just tried to kill a police officer. There's no talking at this point. There's no verbal commands. Fucking shoot him with a taser, spray him with pepper spray, Go up there, kick him in the face, whatever you have to do. Fucking do the thing and get him into custody. So, this waiting bullshit is totally wrong to me. They should have already tased his ass before this guy ever got up here to capture it on his camera.
Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down! Walk away over here! Walk away from the gun! Walk away from the gun! Get away from it! Go ahead.
It's fucking, I hate when the damn thing lights like that.
Get away from it! Go ahead. No! No!
Love it. You even hear it. So watch his head and listen. Kind of has a hollow sound, don't it? Motherfucker ain't got much in the head. Say it one more time. I love that shit. Yes. Yes. Fuck yes. I like that. Let's see that again. I like that move. That's a good move. Bam. That's smooth. Hell yeah. I like that. That's a smooth fucking move right there. So he comes in and just fucking, like, I don't know what the fuck you would call this. Like, it's not a tackle in a sense, but it's almost like a tackle move in a way. But he comes in low, hits him, and as he hits him, he rolls the guy over. I like that. Very nice.
On your back now!
We got him! We got his hands! We got his hands! All right. I think he's in custody.
Thank you. Channel 13, we're taking last one in custody now. Ready, rescue, 10 for taser.
I gotta see that again. That's pretty bad. I like that move.
On your back now!
We got him! We got his hands! We got his hands! All right. I think he's in custody.
Thank you. Channel 13, we're taking last one in custody now. Ready, rescue, 10 for taser.
Yeah. All right, let's roll him on his side. Pick the side. Roll him lead. Good. No, roll him lead. Mills, coming to us. Search him. All right, search him. Mills, you search him.
Channel 13, 1068, suspect at 18.
Stop moving, dude.
Channel 13, first shut down traffic on Gulffair from Moncrief all the way to High School. We're going to need them all shut down.
Yeah, I'm good, yeah. Oh, that's on my car. He's in the back of my car.
All my holes out my window. All officers.
Are you okay?
Yeah, those are my holes out my window.
Are you okay? He got you?
I don't think so.
All right. So this is something that is overlooked sometimes, I think. Now, in some videos, you just don't see it going on because it occurs a little bit after, and a lot of times some of the footage is cut short. You don't get to see the whole duration, after the event or whatever. But this is a crucial part of an officer-involved shooting. Checking the officer who's been involved in that shooting. There's been a lot of times where people have been shot and they didn't know they were shot because they had so much adrenaline and endorphins pumping through their body, they never felt it. There have been people who've been in fights before with someone, and someone pulled a knife out and started stabbing them. And the person didn't know they had a knife, and they didn't know that they were being stabbed. They just thought the person was punching them. there was a story. I forget where it was, but there was a guy walking down the road, walking down the sidewalk, and he got shot in the back of the head with a gun. Of course, he fell down. He went unconscious. He woke up, and he described the back of his head hurting, obviously, and there was a brick laying on the ground. Well, he thought that someone hit him in the back of the head with a brick. And there was a little bit of blood, but not a whole lot. And so he just went home. Well, his fucking headache didn't go away. And he finally went to the hospital, and they did x-rays, and there was a bullet in his head. Dude had no idea that he had been shot in the back of the fucking head. He just thought that, because when he woke up from being knocked out, and there was a brick laying on the ground near him, he just thought he'd been hit in the head with a brick. So lots of different incidents where people have been shot and or stabbed, and they never knew that they were shot or stabbed. So this is a crucial point, checking someone who's been involved in a shooting. Go from head to toe, check everywhere. It's best if, someone can check that person. If you're by yourself, you still need to be checking yourself. So, when it's safe to do so, you've gone through fast, you fought them, you've assessed them, you don't need to shoot them anymore, you've scanned, you ain't got no buddies that need to be shot, you've topped your gun off, you've taken cover, you've talked to people, whatever, you got the cavalry coming to back you up, you need to start treating injuries, and that's where you start from head to toe. You take both hands and run them over the back of your head and top of your head, the scalp, go around the neck and the throat, pull your hands back, look, no blood, keep going. Take one hand and do your left arm and armpit area, pull it back, look, no blood, keep going. Left hand, do your right arm, kind of like you're putting on lotion, you just kind of do a little rubbing motion with your hand over that limb. Nothing. Cool. Take both hands. If you got an outer vest, this makes it easier. You can just take your hands and put them in through that opening on the outer vest and fill your pectoral area up. Reach down, fill into your abdomen area. Go down to your hip area. Pull hands out. Look out. No blood. Good. Keep going. Pat around your pelvis area. Start with one leg. Again, like I said, both hands going down and kind of rubbing up around the leg, kind of like you're putting on lotion or something. Look, no blood, cool. Go to the next limb, go down, check. It's going to be hard to fully check your back, but you can reach up and reach certain parts of your back, depending on your size and everything. Some people have more range of movement and are smaller, can probably cover their entire back with their hand or whatever. Other people, you may not be able to touch every part of your back, but gravity takes effect. So even if you can't feel upper back very well, you should still be able to run your hand across your lower back and go up to midpoint, no problem, and run back and forth. And if there's any blood coming out your back, gravity should draw that down to a lower point. You should see blood on your hand. So check yourself, make sure you're not bleeding. It's best to have someone else check you. If there's enough people there, it's safe to do so. You start undoing the uniform. Take the top off, take the vest off, undo the belt, go over to the side of the car, and get fully checked out right there. Make sure there's no holes in you or anything like that. And on top of that, even though you felt over an area and you didn't detect any blood, it doesn't mean that you don't have any holes in you. Sometimes, because of vasoconstriction and all that, in the fight process, your fight, flight, freeze response, your body, your vessels to your extremities start constricting, and your body starts wanting to have more blood to the core of your body. And so there's been times where people have had an extremity amputation, a traumatic amputation, and there was not a whole lot of profuse bleeding going on. But then as adrenaline and everything started wearing down a little bit, then boom, blood starts, coming out really fast at that point. So there's been people who've been shot and they have a hole in them, and there's not a whole lot of blood coming out because of the vasoconstriction and everything going on. And then as they start to calm down, the fight or flight response starts to diminish, and then boom, you start seeing more blood coming out of that hole. So a good cursory pat down is good to make sure you don't see a whole lot of blood, but it should still be someone coming and checking and actually checking over your skin to make sure there's no holes that just haven't started to bleed a whole lot. And of course, you got to have, once you find these injuries, you're going to have the knowledge and the equipment to deal with it. So I am of the opinion that if you're going to carry a gun for a living, you also need to carry medical equipment for a living. If you're going to carry the tools to induce trauma, you should have the tools to reduce trauma. If you carry a gun for a living, then that means that you suspect there's a possibility that you could be involved in a gunfight. Gunfights go both ways. It's a two-way range. You could get shot. Your partners could get shot. Your family could get shot. So you have to have that knowledge and you have to have that equipment. Ambulance response times can be 7 minutes or longer. In the scene of a shooting, no ambulance or fire truck is coming directly to the scene. They're going to stage a safe distance away until they are given the all clear to move in. You could be dead 5 times over before a medic gets to you. So you've got to have the knowledge and the equipment to deal with injuries right then and there. You can die within 90 seconds of a femoral artery hit. You get shot in the leg and your femoral artery gets severed, you don't have the equipment or anything to do anything about it, your ass is dead in 90 fucking seconds. You will bleed to death in that amount of time. I don't care if an ambulance the size of a fucking RV pulls up and it has the emergency room on board. It's got the best doctors and nurses ever. They ain't shit they're going to do for you. You're fucking gone. So you've got to have the knowledge, you've got to have the equipment. If you don't, you're fucked. You got a fucked up mindset. If you don't carry any medical gear, you don't have any knowledge beyond just a basic CPR class or first aid class. If you're of this mindset of, something happens, the ambulance will, they'll be there, or if you're of this mindset of, that first aid kit in the car, I can use it if something happens. If you've got that kind of mindset, you've got a fucked up mindset, and you need to unfuck yourself. And I mean that the most sincere way possible. You've got to carry this stuff on you. And you got to have a better knowledge than just a basic bullshit CPR 80 first aid class. Because what you learn in that class is not going to fucking help you with a bullet hole. That first aid kit that your agency or your company puts in the car, that's not going to help with bullet holes. It's got Band-Aids in the first aid kit. You need trauma gear. A fucking Band-Aid is not going to stop bleeding coming from a bullet hole. It's just not going to work. Gotta have trauma gear. Lots of agencies and companies out there put first aid kits in cars as a checklist reason. Their insurance may require it, or because they want to be an accredited agency, they may go through the process of just putting basic first aid kits in all these cars. What's the first aid kit got in it? Tweezers, tongue depressor. It might have like those little packets of like ibuprofen, bug sting relief, a cold compress pack, a cravat or triangular bandage, some Band-Aids, sunburn cream, like stupid shit. Like, it's not going to have anything in there for dealing with a sucking chest wound, to deal with arterial bleeding or anything like that. So you've got to go get that equipment and carry it on you. You can get a medical ankle holster and carry tourniquet, chest seals, stuff like that in a medical ankle holster, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of room, doesn't print hardly any at all through your pants. Now, if you're wearing like skinny jeans or skinny pants or something like that, yeah, obviously it's going to print and show through, but you shouldn't be wearing that shit anyway. If you wear an ankle gun as a backup gun, you can for sure carry a medical ankle holster, no problem whatsoever, and have some amount of gear on you. You can be very minimalist and carry just a tourniquet. If that's all you carry, then great. At least you're carrying something. And when it comes to the leading causes of death from armed conflict, massive hemorrhaging is the number one cause of death, which is why within the March acronym, M comes first for massive hemorrhaging. So if you're going to only carry one or two things and it's going to be blood related, then a tourniquet and compressed gauze or pressure bandage, those can easily fit in a pocket. Doesn't take up a whole lot of room. Do it easy, no problem whatsoever. All right, well, not a whole lot left to see. Just him checking this guy out, and then.
Gotcha? I don't think so.
Where are you hit?
Do you mind if I unbuckle this?
Yeah, go for it.
So let me back this up real quick. So that, I forget what they call this mount. This kind of mount is better than those fucking piece of shit magnetic mounts or whatever. The magnetic mounts suck ass. These are actually pretty good. I just can't remember what they call them. There's actually one that's kind of like that will, and that actually might have been was that a mag? That's a quick one. There's one that looks similar to that, and it can be basically put a hole through the shirt, and it will mate through that hole. So it makes a really good solid anchor to the uniform shirt.
So I didn't realize you had to ask me my short brother. Okay. You're good, brother. I think you're good. Yeah, let me take my cartridge out. Yeah. So you're okay, man. What can I do?
I got it. I'm gonna get away from him.
Yeah.
So that's a bullet from the suspect that he fired at the officer. I think this might have, I don't know if this is for sure the only hit he got on this officer. It was on the hood of the vehicle, but that's within this camera's view right here.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.